Well, good morning. Thanks for joining us. As regular viewers here know, we occasionally like to get together with our municipal officials to talk about what's happening at that level of government, talk about some of the issues our cities and towns are facing. And it's our pleasure this morning to have with us the mayor of Melrose, Rob Dolan, now in his 15th year as mayor of that fine city. Gee, Mayor, when I first met you way back when you had black hair. What the heck happened? Good to see you.
Good to see you, John. Good to see you. It's gone by quick, but it's certainly been, it's exciting. Did a great job. The local level of government is still I believe, the true level of government that is the most accountable, and you could actually still get things done, unlike maybe in Washington.
Well, they seem to like you there. They haven't thrown you out so far.
They haven't. I've dodged a few bullets, but we're doing okay.
Well, congratulations. So I'm reading that there's a push on to essentially make, they don't call it this, but essentially make Melrose a sanctuary city where police would be barred from arresting or holding people strictly because of their immigration status. You've said that you support the principle behind that, but oppose doing it as a matter of policy. Why? Well,
at the local level of government, we have to consider operations, right? In the sanctuary city, although, you know, I obviously don't put down those that are pushing that term, but it's a political term, not an operational term, meaning this. The policy of the city of Melrose is the same as almost every policy in the United States of America, which is not different than the policies in, say, Cambridge or Somerville or Boston that are sanctuary cities. If the Melrose Police Department, or really any other police department, pulls someone over for speeding, they do not administer a civil warrant, which means check their immigration status. If someone is on the side of the road and they're stopped and asked a question, their immigration status is not checked. However, if someone is arrested for breaking and entering, an egregious crime, horrible crime like murder or rape or breaking and entry or gun possession, they are. Some people think sanctuary city is the equivalent of the old westerns where they cross the border.
Anything goes.
And anything goes. That's not the case.
Okay.
However, the people on the right think that local police departments are expected to round people or suspected people that might be illegal immigrants up and wait for the federal government to pick them up. Local cities and towns will not act like federal agents because simply we do not have the staffing and we do not have the authority. However, the issue that's going to come up in the future, and I hope it doesn't, but all trends tend to think it might, if the federal government sends us a list, the Melrose Police Department or any police department, of names and addresses of individuals who they are saying are illegal and want us as a local police department to ring those people's doorbell and arrest them. That's where the fight's going to be. And
you're not going to do that?
Well, I don't think, not only is Melrose not going to do it, I don't think any police department in the country is going to do that. The federal government has responsibilities, and they need to have the staffing and the manpower or the woman power or the police power in order to do that. Sanctuary cities is a purely political term, and I would argue that the policies of the Melrose Police Department are the same as the policies of any police department in the South, the West Coast, or in Boston and Cambridge, that we know around here, which is a sanctuary city.
Well, you mentioned speeding a moment ago, and I also wanted to ask you about a local Melrose issue that's been bubbling up. Last year, you said that the #1 public safety issue that you get asked about by your constituents is people speeding through the city.
Absolutely.
And you wanted to set a citywide speeding limit of 25 miles an hour. Right. How's that going?
It's going great, and I think most people, whether you're in Boston or in Melrose, the same problem is speeding. People are in a rush to go nowhere.
I mean, most Massachusetts drivers go 25 miles an hour when they're parked, Mayor. How are you going to...
Well, this is the thing. People are back on bicycles now. People are back using their legs and walking.
Yeah.
People want to have different modes of transportation and live in a place where their kids can still play street hockey, their children can go out and play catch in the street, and you don't have to worry that they're going to be killed by not on a highway, but by their neighbor.
So it's 25 miles an hour in Melrose?
It's going to be.
It's going to be.
And let me tell you how you do it, and I applaud Governor Baker. The fact is that he is giving local cities and towns the ability to make it 25, and Boston's doing it, and so is in Melrose.
All right. Well, I want to see how many more tickets you're giving out and how that changes over time.
Absolutely, and people should slow down.
All right. All right. Well, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll continue our conversation, maybe talk a little bit about how Beacon Hill is treating the cities and towns when we continue with the mayor of Melrose in a moment. Stay with us. Welcome back. We're talking with Rob Dolan, the mayor of Melrose, this morning. And Mayor, you're a Democrat, right? Always have been. Our Republican governor is up for re-election next year. There are already several Democrats sniffing around. I'm sure maybe one or two of them have checked in with you. What do you make of how do you assess, from your perspective, the job Governor Baker's been doing? And do you think it's time for a change?
I think Governor Baker has done an excellent job, and I'll tell you why. And I also want to commend Lieutenant Governor Polito, and this is as a Democrat. But as mayors, you know, John, you know this, I've never run as with a D or R at the end of my name. I have to represent all the people, unlike on Beacon Hill or in Washington. And we have to manage, and we have to be pragmatists, and we have to be conservative in the sense as mayors that the right side expenditures need to equal revenues. And I think the governor has shown his background to be not just a businessman, but more importantly, to know the mechanics of government. And mayors and town officials are responding to his style of him understanding the challenges we face that aren't just the sexy issues that are on the top 3 or 5 lists of what are the most important issues for the average citizen. When he went through the regulations of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, he called it the Commonwealth Modernization Act, the Municipal Modernization Act. Those, you know, blocking and tackling of government that don't allow us to do our job. And he went through that, and there were 100 local officials at the signing. The news wasn't covering it because they aren't sexy issues, but they're ways that cities and towns can survive in these difficult times. And he gets that, and I respect him for that.
So you're not in a snit because he didn't appear at the anti-Trump rally on the Common?
No, listen, local officials care about those issues, obviously, but we care more about making sure there are quality teachers in front of our schools, that our cities are safe, the trash is picked up, the fields are clean. And you know, in my work, I have learned over 15 years that local government, people can change things in your neighborhood, in your community. You might not be able to change Washington. You could try, but you can improve a park. You can make your city safe. You can make your city more welcoming. Government at the local level is incredibly successful when people are brought together at the table as neighbors and make things better.
We're out of time, but take 10 seconds. A lot of people on Beacon Hill watch this segment. Single biggest thing Beacon Hill could do for Melrose in the coming year?
The biggest thing for local cities and towns is take the handcuffs off. Let local government operate. Stop passing laws that are designed for either big business or big unions, which for a local official doesn't allow us to serve the people the best.
Mayor, thanks.
Thank you.
Good to see you. The mayor of Melrose, Rob Dolan. Well, that's it for us. Stand by for more WBZ News as I throw it back over to my colleagues.